February 2nd, 2025. My name is Kurt Bell, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. This is an exercise that I do every day, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles. Two things to get out of the way real quick before we get started. One big thank you, as usual, to my Patreon supporters, my YouTube members, and for those that watch my content. Your contributions in just the largesse of your viewing purchased me my morning coffee. Today I chose the Boss Coffee Farm. A little bit different from my usual selection, and it turns out it's cheaper, only 110 yen, pretty good price. The other thing is a disclaimer. So those of you who may be new viewers to the channel, this is not a Japan related video other than the fact that I'm at a Japanese convenience store. I would use this video to ready myself for the day. It's very early in the morning right now, 5:53. And I use this time in the morning to go over the last 24 hours, to prepare for the coming 24 hours, and to get started. And I do that in a live setting because it helps me to improve and do a better job if I'm doing it live like this. And hopefully my efforts and my points of stumbling and attempting to recover, I hope are helpful to others. I always have a list that I start to outline the day. Let's go over it real quick. It's an hour-by-hour breakdown of how the day has unfolded so far and will continue to unfold. At 4 a.m. I was up and I did my engagement, which means responding to all YouTube comments, all social media comments. That's complete by 5. By 5 I walk, and as you can see I'm still a little wet. It's raining here in Shizuoka, Japan, so I got a little bit wet on my half-hour walk from my home to here to Lawson Station. By 5:30 I began the Good Life meditation. By 6 o'clock I attempt the Good Life meditation, and I'm a little early, I'm 6 minutes ahead of time. By 6:30 I should be done, resuming my walk back home. By 7 o'clock, probably a brief dog walk given the rain. 8 o'clock we'll have breakfast, and 9 o'clock I'll begin my day with my wife. And as I say, begin the good use of time. Should be really the continuation of the good use of time. So let's go over the last 24 hours first. So in my meditation, I do 4 main things. I review the last 24 hours. I go over the objectives of my creed so that I have my alignment correct. My North Star is set for the day. I plan for the current day, and I make sure I'm ready for death. Although more and more I'm folding this last one in with number 2 here. By the way, further disclaimer, not only is this not a Japan-related video at all, I do talk about difficult subjects for some people. I talk about death, I talk about my atheism, sometimes I even talk about sensitive subjects like suicide. So please note that this is not a video for those that are here to see about Japan, although you can see it over my shoulder going on a little bit. Okay, let's begin. Yesterday and the last 24 hours went really well. I didn't have any physical issues. I felt good throughout the day, even in the afternoon. And I think it was because we were actively engaged with the house. We were doing a lot of stuff, and as long as I was moving, this is always the case, as long as I keep the inertia going, either here or here, but mainly in the body, everything seems to follow suit. I was tired by the end of the day, but that's to be expected. The only thing that was really something that was on my mind, just a little bit, and it's worth noting, was I was thinking about money. Because yesterday in the today's the 2nd, and yesterday was the 1st in the United States, was the day that I should have got my first full pension check for now that I'm retired, and or direct deposit. And I got a partial one because I retired in the middle of the month, so I set up a partial thing. But that came through. I checked this morning, that came through. So that was an important piece of the puzzle. It didn't mean that we would go broke if it didn't come through. It just meant that there would be a problem, and I would need to address that somehow. And it looks like there's no problem. It worked. By the way, those of you who are planning to retire, make sure that one thing you can do, if you're planning to retire overseas, this is a little retirement advice that I've learned, is make sure you have some sort of a mail forwarding service, so that letters from Social Security or your pension fund or your banking 401k or IRA institutions can get to you. Otherwise, if those letters go unheeded, you may find problems or interruptions or even cancellation of your benefits. You don't want that. So good, that worked. And I also was able to get the letters from that same, my pension fund, to let me know. I got it through that mail forwarding service, so I could see it online, letting me know that it's all green light. So green, green, green. That was a huge relief. I should really be able to relax, take it easy now. As the pension seems to be operating, the house is bought and paid for, the car is bought and paid for, the coffee even. So all I need to really worry about anymore is being a good man, living according to my values, seeking to improve the state of virtue in the world, not resting, not just, sitting around watching reruns on TV, but making good use of my retirement. And the fact that I'm retired and free, capitalizing on that to live a very good life, making the world a better place. So let's now talk about the creed. My creed is called The Good Life. I borrowed that from the Stoics. It consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles, all of which you can read about in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. I don't go over the 35 principles here, but I do go over the 8 objectives. And I do this as a touchstone every morning to make sure that I'm orienting myself in the right alignment to make a good use of today. Because I don't believe in an afterlife. This day, this February 2nd, 2025, is the only one I'm going to get like this, and I'm not going to waste it. So my 8 objectives are, number 1, to be always ready to die. That means that I need to have my affairs in order, check, my relationships sound, double check, and my life's work, if not complete, in a state of good readiness, so that if I die today, my wife and daughter find my papers not a scattered mess, but at least somewhat organized. And I can tell you with certainty that check, 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 all 3 of those are done. At this age, 60, it's important for me to keep those things complete, because there may not be a lot of time left. So yeah, number 1 is good. Always ready to die. Number 2, to make good and effective use of time. That means living a deliberate life. That means calculating out, planning my day. That means making good utility of each hour within the day. That doesn't mean I never rest, though I rarely do. But I am working hard to make sure that I don't look back on tomorrow, which I rarely look back. I don't want to look back on tomorrow and say, I could have done better. That was a waste of time. No wasting time in my book. I'm working hard, especially now that I'm retired. So you supporters that buy me my cup of coffee, thank you. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That would be these aforementioned 8 objectives and 35 principles that I use to orient and guide and steer my life and manage my life. Number 4 is the cultivation of good emotional reactions, to condition myself, to prepare myself to become a man who reacts well when things go bad. I'm not losing my head. I still do, but less and less by virtue of practice and discipline, stoic virtues, reason, keeping my equanimity, remembering my mortality, and above all, aligning my actions and my expectations in the direction of virtue, which is simply defined as seeking after the improvement of the well-being of creatures, particularly thinking creatures, those who can know suffering. Number 5 is to be always ready to die, make good and effective use of time, develop and maintain good and sound life principles, cultivate good emotional reactions, perform good actions. Performing good actions relative to my creed, the values that I hold. So what constitutes a good action is an action that promotes virtue. What is virtue? Virtue is the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. Number 6 is the recognition of true limits and true opportunities, so that I'm operating within the scope of my reach, not expecting things that are beyond my grasp, not hoping for things beyond my expected years, satisfied with what I can attain with the faculties and strengths that I have still have. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. I at all times attempt to avoid multitasking, with the exception of enjoying cup of coffee while talking to you. While talking at you. And number 8, the last of my objectives, is the objective of balance, both physical and mental, so that I can keep my stable footing even when I'm moving, even when I'm thinking. And again, so that I rarely get thrown off by life's unexpected things, recognizing what to expect, what's within scope of my reach, and using reason as the arbiter of truth. So those are my 8 objectives. And now that I've touched all 8 of them, I'm ready for the day. What does today consist of? Well, it's a Sunday, and I'm calling today Sunday on duty because my wife and I are on duty today. We are going to go back to our new house that we bought, new old house, and continue work on it. My one objective for today is to clean out all the stuff that the former owner left in the master bedroom, which I think I can do today. Although it's a bigger task than it seems, I'm following my wife's example of being without Ruth, aka ruthless, in my endeavor. That's my only goal for today. My only goal. I mean, aside of the fact of living well, making good use of time, maintaining my balance, applying reason, and striving towards virtue. Yeah, that's the only thing. Just that. Okay, it's 6:03. I'm well ahead of schedule. I don't return my walk until 6:30, but I think I'll wrap it up now and take a leisurely walk home in the rain. Back to my wife, have our dog walk at 7, breakfast at 8, and then I'll begin the good use of time, or continue the good use of time, at 9 a.m. By 9 a.m. I've already got, 5 hours of solid living under my belt. That's the way I like to do it. Let's read the comments here. Dr. J. Matt Buchanan, new name I haven't seen before. Welcome, Dr. Buchanan. Hi, Kurt. Long-time watcher. Oh, you are. Long-time watcher. I'm sorry that I didn't recognize your name. Thank you very much for your long-time support. That's all the comments that are. I wish you all the best. And remember, everybody, try to be safe, but not too safe. Take care.